Professor Black Truth told us bootlick is a job without a retirement plan, and here's a textbook example proving his point.
Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today.
Over the last 2 weeks, Hollywood has been participating in a series of layoffs. And as Hollywood has been laying off multiple executives, they have been saying that companies like Disney and Warner Brothers have been suffering as related to major financial losses. However, the layoffs of the last 2 weeks basically show me that Hollywood isn't that concerned about losing so much money as it is about getting back to business as usual. Now, Hollywood is the media arm of white supremacy, and as the media arm of white supremacy, Hollywood's main focus is about elevating white men and white women to an ideal, and as part of that, what they've been doing is laying off all of their so-called executives who are supposed to be taking care of diversity and inclusion. Now, over the last 2 weeks, Disney's Chief Diversity Officer, Latondra Newton, stepped down, and Netflix's first head of inclusion, Verna Myers, stepped down from her position as well, and Warner Brothers laid off its diversity executive, Karen Horn. Meanwhile, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences Executive Vice President of Impact and Inclusion, Janelle English, exited her position. Now, all 4 of these black women were basically hired to represent so-called diversity and inclusion, and they were primarily hired because Hollywood was getting a lot of heat on social media and from people outside as related to the lack of opportunities for black and so-called minorities as related to opportunities in film. And the Academy was getting a lot of heat on social media and as related to the hashtag Oscars So White, as related to the lack of black and minority individuals receiving Academy Award nominations. And when George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin and people started to riot and turn up in the streets, that's when the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences and many of the movie studios decided that they needed to go out here and make an effort to show that they were all about diversity and inclusion. And this is when they made the disingenuous gesture by going out here and appointing a black woman into this made-up position to do make work as related to diversity and inclusion. And with this empty symbolic position, what the studios hope to do and the Academy of Motion Picture and Arts and Sciences hope to do was take the heat off themselves and appear like they were making an effort to go out here and promote so-called diversity and inclusion and provide opportunities to black and so-called minorities in film and offer opportunities for blacks and so-called minorities to get Academy Award nominations. But we see that this was all a disingenuous effort to go out here and pacify the masses, because now that the heat has turned down, what Hollywood is looking to do is they're looking to let go of their executives who are supposed to be about diversity and inclusion. And what they're looking to do is go out here and get back to business as usual. Because again, the media arm of white supremacy's main goal is to go out here and promote messages that white people are the ultimate ideal to aspire to be like, and that you need to be like a white man or a white woman in order to have some sort of worth in society. And promoting the idea that elevates black men and black women, that they can be the same as white people, runs counter to white supremacy. So that's why they are letting go of their so-called executives as related to diversity and inclusion. And when I look at these executives, again, they really didn't do much as related to their make work jobs, because if these executives were about actual diversity, you would be hearing about black screenwriters like myself getting their screenplays sold. One. Two, you would be hearing about many projects that were run by black showrunners getting greenlit or orders for their television. And three, you would be hearing about many black screenwriters going out here and getting a green light for their project. Moreover, you would be hearing about black directors and black filmmakers getting an opportunity to get their films bought and distributed. So there was no real business effort to go out here and present actual diversity and inclusion in Hollywood as they appointed these women into these contrived executive jobs and gave them make work. There was never any real serious effort to go out here and give any sort of black person an opportunity to go out here and make films or go out here and tell stories about the black experience. No, if they were genuine, you would have been seeing more of those projects and not these token diversity projects that were promoted, that many on the side of the right talk about as related to social justice. Many people on the right, they'll sit there and say, oh, there were all of these different projects that flopped at the box office. But what they don't understand is that those projects were actually put in place because the media arm of white supremacy deliberately wanted these projects to fail, because what they want to do is be passive aggressive, in that passively you'll go out here and present something as related to so-called diversity, but aggressively you design it in such a way that it alienates the audience, and as it alienates the audience, it fails at the box office. And what this does is close the door so that really talented black screenwriters and black filmmakers can't get in the door. And all of this is signed off by a so-called diversity executive and designed to make it where they can go out here and say, oh, we hired black people and those black people failed, and this is why we cannot go out here and hire black people. So this is the kind of chess game that the media arm of white supremacy plays, as it appoints its black bootlicks into these positions, because make no mistake, all four of these black women, when they were appointed in these positions, are black bootlicks. And these black bootlicks, again, basically are a part of what I call the HR brick wall. And as a part of that brick wall, they are passively, again, about diversity and inclusion by saying, oh, I'm a black person and I'm in this job and I'm showing that there's an opportunity for representation. But what they do is use this person who is supposed to be their executive of diversity and inclusion to go out here and make sure that they exclude people, especially heterosexual black men. Because if you get a heterosexual black man and he goes to go out here and present or pitch one of his projects, they'll use this chief diversity officer or this diversity person as the first person to shoot their project down. And as they use them to shoot them down, and the black man says, hey, I'm being discriminated against, what they do is go out here and say, hey, I'm a black woman and I'm in this job, so the opportunities aren't being denied, but they'll use this person to deny opportunities to other black people. And again, the black bootleg doing the work for the white supremacists by passively representing black, but aggressively promoting anti-black narratives by appointing the kind of projects and greenlighting the kind of projects that make it where the door gets closed on other talented black people. And now that all of the heat has died down as related to the protests as related to George Floyd's murder, and all the heat has died down as related to all of the protests that have been made about Hollywood not giving black creators opportunities, now the media arm of white supremacy feels safe. And now that they feel safe, now they are deciding that they no longer need the services of these black women to represent them as chief diversity officers. Now that they can go back to the business of usual of elevating white men and white women, what they look to do is go out here and let go of these women. Now, some of these women say that they were quitting, but I don't believe that at all. I believe what they were told was by those white executives that they could either leave their positions or be fired. And what these women did was, in order to go out in a way that does not make them look bad, was resign their positions. And they resigned their positions because they no longer want to go out here and be humiliated like the way diversity officer Karen Horn was humiliated by saying that they laid her off. And again, even then, while technically they haven't fired any of these women, they have basically done it undercover, because they say, oh, we don't need these women anymore because we no longer need to keep up this facade of being about diversity and inclusion. Because an indicator to that, to me, was the Academy Awards, where Angela Bassett was nominated for that Best Supporting Actress Oscar, and she lost that award to Jamie Lee Curtis. That basically showed me that the media arm of white supremacy was getting back to business as usual with its grand popularity contest, and instead of giving Angela Bassett the Oscar she deserved on the merits for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, what they did was give the award to Jamie Lee Curtis as a political gesture, and then they came out here and gave her the Consolation Prize Oscar, which was supposed to be the Lifetime Achievement Award. And again, that was a slap in the face of Angela Bassett. They were basically saying, hey, we know that you're a great performer, but we're not going to award you on the merits of your performance, because we only award blacks Oscars if they participate in degrading and humiliating roles in most cases, and we can't have you be and Will Smith be the exceptions to that, because Will Smith's performance as King Richard and Richard Williams in King Richard was a performance that actually he won positively, but because of his slap, it was all lost. And Angela Bassett, they couldn't have a black woman as a queen getting an Oscar, because their main narrative is to go out here and promote women like Halle Berry being presented in the role of Black Jezebels, or Monique presented in the role of a Sapphire or a Mammy. That's the type of roles that the Academy gives awards to. And what they do is, again, they want to degrade black women. And this is their own way of, again, degrading black women by, again, giving them these token make-work jobs and making them believe that they're getting some sort of success, when in actuality they aren't getting any success at all. And what happens is that once the white supremacist no longer needs those individuals, they then show them the door. And that's what's happening right here to these 4 strong, independent black women. Hollywood is basically turning them out the same way they turn out black actresses. And as they turn them out the same way they turn out a black actress, now that they've gone out here and exploited them and gotten them to go out here and play the role that they want as related to business, now they're letting them go off the job. And sadly, all 4 of these black women thought that they were going to have jobs for life, but sadly, if they had listened to Professor Black Truth, they would have found out bootlick is a job without a retirement plan, because a black bootlick can have their job taken at any time. And they can have their job taken at any time because the white supremacist was never genuine about having them on the job, and the white supremacist never really wanted them to have a career. No, when it comes to black bootlicks, the white supremacist only wants them on the job in order to make it look like they are being fair, but they have never been fair at all as related to whatever job that they offer you. And always know that if you take a job with white supremacy, if you're a black bootlick, you're only there on borrowed time. And once they no longer need you, what they're going to do is let you go. And again, they're not only going to let you go, they are going to break you, because bootlicks, they never let them stay in the same place because, like Professor Black Truth has said in many of his videos, white supremacy always breaks their toys. And that's basically what they saw all four of these black women as. They basically saw them as toys that they played with, as they made their empty symbolic gesture to all of those black people who were out here protesting as related to the lack of representation, and all of those black people who turned up in the streets for the murder of George Floyd. They wanted to go out here and pacify those masses, and they pacified those masses by going out here and hiring themselves a couple of educated, independent black women to make it look like they were serious about representation, but what they wanted to do was represent white supremacy, because white supremacy always goes out here and sets a lot of black women up to be the punchline of their cruel joke, and that cruel joke is making them believe they actually have an opportunity to go out here and get a fair shake, but it was never fair to begin with. And because it was never fair to begin with, many of these women wind up ending up with a career that ends in an ignominious fashion, because after these same women go out here and try to lose these jobs, they find themselves not being able to get work, very similar to the black actress who gets turned out by Hollywood. The black actress will go out here and get turned and go out here and do the nude scenes and the sex scenes, and then find themselves not being able to find work. And the same thing happens to the so-called educated professional black female executive. After she does the dirty work for white supremacy, the white supremacist turns her out in the exact same fashion, taking away her dignity and self-respect in the same way they take away the dignity and self-respect from a black actress. So both of these women will be playing roles, the black actress and the black executive bootlick. They'll both be playing the same roles for white supremacy, but they both end up with the same fate, where they both wind up getting completely turned out by the business, and the business turns them out because after they have finished using them, they say, hey, we no longer need these women anymore, and now we're going to go back to getting to business as usual. And again, the business of Hollywood is white supremacy. The business of Hollywood is anti-black racism. The business of Hollywood is perpetuating anti-black narratives. The business of Hollywood is about going out here and degrading the black male and black female image. And what they do is weaponize many of these educated black women to go out here and do their dirty work. And then once they get them to do whatever they need, they then show them the door. And this is what's happening here to these four black female bootlicks. They are finding out that the business of Hollywood isn't about diversity and inclusion. No, it was always about exclusion. And while they'll include you for a moment to exclude others, once they finish getting you to exclude all of the talented black people, they then show you the door, and show you the door that you've closed on all of those other talented black men like myself. They show you the door to that you closed on black men, and they leave you behind that door, never giving you another opportunity. And that again shows you how your media arm of white supremacy has always been disingenuous, and again never was about diversity and inclusion. But they will go out here and make every effort to exclude you, and then once they get you to exclude others, they send you right through that same door to be on an unemployment line right next to another black man. Now, if you want to check out my screenplay all about Marilyn, which talks about the struggles of black actresses in Hollywood, you can find that book on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also find it on Smashwords. You can also find it on other online booksellers. And you can also pick up many of my other positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, my sorority novel, The Thetas, my vampire novel, Eternal Night, and my business novel, A Recipe for Success. You can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to check out my comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, you can find it on Lulu.com by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to check out my first comic, Esteem No Good Deed, you can find that on Kindle for 99 cents. And if you want to see me make more videos about the entertainment industry, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, All About Nikki, A Fabulous First Season. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meets Clueless in this absolutely fabulous African-American 1990s teen sitcom. Get all 13 episodes of All About Nikki, The Fabulous First Season in paperback and e-readers today.
Now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book The Man Crisis comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today.
Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.